Welcome to the first Virtual Book Fair UK. Now we are going to present a poetry reading by Octavio Quintanilla. He will be accompanied by the host Libertad Betancourt. Thank you for following the presentation. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Good afternoon for you because you are in Peru. I don't know if it's afternoon or is before 12, but thank you so much, Peru. Thank you so much for our co-founders, Cesar Salvatierra, Alan Morales. I am so excited. Thank you, United Kingdom. I'm here again. And I am excited because we have been here for, I don't know, 14 days or 13 days. We almost finished the fair, the first virtual book fair, United Kingdom, the first in English. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for sharing with us your culture, your people, your writers, poets, everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today we have a my name is Libertad Betancourt. I'm a cultural ambassador um, of writers in America and Europe, and in general in the world. Everything about culture is Libertad. Libertad is there. Thank you so much. And I'm excited because we have, like we said in Spanish, estamos de manteles largos. We have a elegant dinner or elegant event because we have a poeta laureado, laureate poet. I don't know how do you say in English, but
Poet laureate.
Poet laureate, okay. His name is Octavio Quintanilla, 2000, 2018, 2020, right?
Yes.
He lives in San Antonio, and we are going to have this interview. He's writer, poet, and he's going, and a very good friend, and he's going to talk in Spanish or English in both languages. And don't go, stay here because this interview is for all around the world. Okay, thank you so much, Octavio Quintanilla, for staying here with us. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Libertad, Elizabeth, and the founders of the festival and everybody who makes it possible. It's a lot of work. It's I've hosted festivals and interviews and all kinds of literary events, and on the surface it looks easy and it looks like anybody can do it, but it takes a team effort and a lot of work. So thank you for putting in the work for this. It's worthwhile. It's a labor of love.
Thank you. Yes, it is. And I'm excited because it's first time that we are going to speak in English with you. I'm going to speak in English with you, but I'm going to read. I have your biography in English. I'm going to read it. And Octavio is the author of poetry collection If I Go Missing in 2014. He, like I said, he is poet laureate of San Antonio, Texas. His poet fiction, translations, and photography have appeared of art forthcoming in journals such as Salamander, Reno, Alaska, Quarterly Review, Pilgrim, Green Mountains Review, Southwestern American Literature, the Texas Observer, Exister, a journal of art and literature, and elsewhere. He's from Textos. From Textos are great. Is visual poem. He has been published in Poetry Northwest, Borderlands, Texas Poetry Review, Midway Journal, Goldway Leaf, Newfound, Chachalaca Review. I like this name. You have to tell me what is Chachalaca. Share Poetry Evenings, Red Widget, the Museum of Americana, About the Place Journal, the American Journal of Poetry. Y tiene muchas, muchas, muchas más. He has more and more and more. Octavio visual work has been exhibited at the Southwest School of Art, Presa House Gallery, Equinox Gallery, the University of Texas, Rio Grande. You are, okay. You teach literature of creative writing in MFA program at the Our Lady of the Lake University in San Antonio, Texas. And I know you organize and participate many events of poetry. You have many things, but I would like to share your biography in the website or in our media, in our redes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because how do you say net, in our net? Because I want that you share with us all the information that you have. We have just only 30 minutes. This space is for you. And I want to ask you, what are you going to read us? Today is reading poems, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm going to read poems from my book, which is titled "If I Go Missing." And I'm also going to read new poems in English from a manuscript that I'm working on and that I plan to finish this summer. Uh, uh, I think most, if not all, the poems have been written. I just need to put them all together and work on the structure of the book, which is taking time because, as you said, I teach full time, and when you teach full time, it's really hard to find that that time, that time to really focus and concentrate on the work at hand. But this summer, I won't be teaching. I won't be uh, doing anything that's going to take me away from working on this book. This book has to be done complete by or before summer's end, and I'll start submitting by or before summer ends, early fall. So hopefully by next year, I have a new book of lyric and narrative poetry out. Um, what I guess what I'll do is I'll start reading some poems, and this book, If I Go Missing, uh, came out in 2014, and and it's the only book, I guess, the only full length collection that I have. Uh, and I was thinking about it last night, and I realized that I'm not. I guess I've never really been in a hurry to publish a second book. Uh, why? Because, like you said, I have so many things going on that um, I feel like I am immersed in literary life. Like I don't like. I feel like like a book doesn't. Um, it's not. At this point, it's really not necessary for me to take part in events such as this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm always creating, and you mentioned from textos, which is visual poetry, and that in itself I've been publishing a lot. So, but nonetheless, 2014 till now, it's a long time, and I have new poems, and I think it's time for a book number two. Um, and this book is a book about place. I'm from South Texas. I'm from the Rio Grande Valley. I lived basically all over the place. I lived in uh, Weslaco. I went to high school in Weslaco, Texas. I lived in San Benito, taught high school at Harlingen High, lived in Edinburgh and McAllen area for a couple of years when I was an undergrad. So, and I have friends all over the valley. So I feel like I really can't just pinpoint one city I'm from. I'm from the whole area.
Mm-hmm.
And this book is about, if you know that area, this book is about South Texas. It's about the border. The borderlands is basically one of the main characters. The speaker that I create for these poems is from there. Uh, and also not just from the valley and the Rio Grande Valley, but also from Mexico. So, the poems here um, are about place, and I think I try to capture a sensibility that I recognize by being from the valley, and I think it's a sensibility that it's if you're from the valley, you'll recognize it. You'll recognize the voice, you recognize the images, you recognize the stories. You'll recognize the emotional geography. you know, the fears, the love, the sadness, even, and I think just because they come from there doesn't mean that they're not universal. I think that when you write about specific places and specific things, you can reach the universal. So, with that said, with that introduction, I'll read some poems, and then you can tell me if you have any questions. Just let me know.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
So this one's called "The Left Hand," and it's after Carlos Drummond de Andrade and Mark Strand. And Carlos, Carlos Drummond de Andrade, has a poem with a similar theme, and then Mark Strand translated de Andrade's poem, and then wrote his own poem dealing with the left hand, right, which is symbolic. And I'm like, well, if they wrote poems about the left hand, I'm gonna write a poem about the left hand, right? And this is what I wrote: the left hand. I said, I'm tired of having the same dream every night. The dream in which I lose my left hand, doing a job I wasn't born to do. Sometimes I'm picking trash on the side of the highway. Other times I'm saving a drowning man. Sometimes it's an electric saw that jags my hand off. Last night, it got chopped clean by a butcher's knife. As a boy, I admired butchers and liked their knives. Brown and soft, my left hand bloodies the floor. This hand that has slapped and punched gets punished by a force that's stronger in dreams than God. It's the same hand that broke a beer bottle on a man's head when he called me hijo de puta. The same one dogs lick for affection. As soon as my hand is gone, I remember it as a gentle animal starving for the touch of something other than that of the right hand. Maybe that's what it was, the starving that turned it into an enforcer. I'm awake now, and I have no way to tell you that even though I live with two hands, one always goes missing in my dreams. What does that say about my life? If I ever dream my hand floating down a river, should I follow it? Where would it take me? The salmon and the catfish will know I'm crazy. Look at this fool, they'll say, and laugh the laugh that only they can hear. They've waited centuries for me to dip my feet in the water. They knew I would come and try to take what no longer wants to be a part of me. Just so you know, I always have enough time to step out of the river and make my way home. I find you packing your bags, closing the curtains, locking the door. You can't see me, but I see you. And the night returns, and so does the river, and the hand that rides the curtain to the ocean, refusing to drown.
Wow. Estoy aquí calladita, pero wow.
Yes, so that's the first poem of the book, and I think that poem establishes, some of the themes and concerns that keep appearing. So this next poem is called "You Take a Stranger's Life," and this poem was born when I saw a man with a flat tire on the expressway, and I was driving home, and he had opened the trunk and he was taking out a spare tire to put on to replace the flat tire. And I'm like, wow, okay, I can use that image, right? Because I like images. And I wrote this poem. It's called "You Take a Stranger's Life." You take a stranger's life and hide it under your shirt. You take it home and make sure the neighbors don't see it. You smuggle it past your mother, who's in the kitchen pouring water into a pot of beans. This life you've taken fits under your mattress. It bawls like an orphaned pup, and you hush it with promises to release it, but you won't. You've always thought it was a good idea to have a life to spare, like the spare tire in your trunk, just in case someone came along and took yours. So imagine having a spare life.
Uh,
So that's the idea, for that poem.
Inspiration comes from crazy situations or moments, right?
Yeah, I mean, inspiration is it's always there. You just gotta be awake to it. You gotta open your senses to it, to the world. To what you see, to what you with what you experience with your senses. If you're not experiencing the world with your senses, at least one of them, you're gonna miss out on a lot of opportunities for poetry. And and like I said, that image of having a spare tire triggered that idea of, what if I had a life under my mattress, so when somebody takes mine or I die, I can just replace it with that one. But obviously, the irony is that you would have to take somebody else's life, right? Uh, this is one of my favorite poems in the book. I think it's called "Tough Guy." My brother points with the red nipple of a cigarette to a guy sporting trendy jeans and flip-flops. Pussy, he says. If you open him up, you'll see he has no guts. When drunk, my brother pours milk between the legs of a beautiful girl and licks. Then he returns to a time when the sound of his name pushed them to the end of the lunch line. Hardly anyone could pronounce it. Teachers tried to rename him. Years later, he wants to go back. He's still crouching under the bleachers, trembling at the principal's office. The boy in this bar forgets he no longer has anything to prove. But prison breastfed him scorpions. Now, when he goes out, he carries our mother's prayer like a necklace. On his chest, the suffering face of Christ. Bloody nest for birds.
Wow, intense.
Yeah, that poem. I think, I guess I can talk about the origin of the poems. I still remember, and I used to have a neighbor with a tattoo of a Christ, the on his chest, and and I don't know. I just remember seeing it, and I thought I saw birds. There were no birds on the nest, the and that poem came out of that,
Uh-huh.
and it came out of a time of reflecting about, I guess, when I was younger before I wrote this poem,
Mhm.
and going out, and about just the machismo that exists, but also about um, how sometimes when you're new in a country, even your name becomes a source of shame, and others, sometimes when you come from Latin America, from anywhere in the world to the US, and if you don't have a I don't know, anglicized sounding name, your name becomes othered and strange, and people want to change it, and they want to call you something that you're not. In my case, I experienced that with Octavio. Whenever I go to places where people don't speak Spanish, they say, huh, and then they want to call you something else, or they tell you, the nice people, they tell you, can I call you this, or and I'm like, you're like, okay, fine. Assholes, they just make up some name for you, and you're like, hey, that's not my name. It
Uh-huh.
doesn't happen anymore, but when I was a teenager, when I was younger, it would happen sometimes, and that is part of that poem, this idea of of always being pushed out, pushed that back. And even your name is strange in a strange land. So yeah, more poems, another poem.
Yes, and one question, Octavio.
Yeah,
This book, you speak you speak both languages, Spanish and
right.
English, but do you have an edition in Spanish or is just in English, and why?
This book is all in English, even though I think there are two poems that have a Spanish word sprinkled in there. Like, let me read one.
This is typical in the border. I remember when we were in Versus Frontera, a festival that you
Right? Yeah,
organized.
yeah,
They mix the poets and the writers. They mix
yeah,
some. They put, like you said, some sprinkles in
yeah.
Spanish, right? Why?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, it's just part of the culture, and when you live in the borderlands, on this side of Mexico, people, uh, go back and forth. They, code switch even in their conversations. Tex-Mex,
Yeah, right.
Spanglish, just like kind of like we are doing at the beginning right now. Hablamos español, decimos español, luego en inglés otra vez.
Uh-huh.
So I think that is carried over to the poetry and to the writing. In Mexico, in la frontera, people, kids, just the general public, I heard them go from they're speaking. I mean, their main language is Spanish, but they also
Mhm.
sprinkle their Spanish with English words.
Yeah, yeah. Like my
Like
kids.
bye bye or whatever. Uh, just phrases that are popular. And so, I mean, that also creates rhythm in the poem. It creates texture, linguistic texture, and also, I think it identifies a specific type of place, uh, that might not exist anywhere else, even though we know that borders exist everywhere, and language is fluid, right? I mean,
Hmm.
uh, I don't know. I'm thinking of T.S. Eliot, who mixed, in the wasteland. You have
Hmm.
Latin and Greek and or Italian. I mean, and
Hmm.
English. So
Sure.
I think that's something that poets do all the time because we're not afraid of language, and we find ways to incorporate what we know or what we want to know in our poems. With that said, I'm going to read this poem. And the poems here are not in Spanish, but like I
Just a
said,
word.
yeah, like I said, there's like two or three poems that have a word, and this one has a Spanish
Okay.
word that I'm sure you're going to recognize. It's called "The bar fight once in a while is a healthy sign." A bar fight once in a while is a healthy sign you still want to live. God's good purpose sits at the bottom of the drink you have every morning to prove you're a man. Once someone told you, it is chingon, it is macho. The trees ignore you because you're not a tree. People ignore you because you're not a tree. Still, you want to talk to them. Let them know you want to start over. You want to find a new opponent more dangerous than the universe. This is the way to go because it is un macho chingon. You need it now. Before the mirror forgets what you look like. Before water forgets how to drown you. So that's the poem that
Wow. What is
where it's
chingon?
from.
Just kidding.
Well, yeah, yeah, gracias. That's one of those poems where I sprinkled Spanish. And let me read the other one. So I think there's one more where I have a couple of Spanish words that and you don't do it just to I don't know I don't know any poet who uses interlaces different languages in a poem just to be cute or whatever. Uh, you do it because no other word fits there. There's no word in English that can conceptualize what you're trying to say. So you use your resources, and the good thing is
Exactly.
that those of us who know English, Spanish, or like more languages that all kinds of languages. If you were to start writing, you can probably use concepts from other languages in your writing that English is not enough to
Mm-hmm.
conceptualize.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's another reason why poets do it.
They use it.
Yeah, it's an element of craft, I think. So here we have landscape with dead goat, and this one also has three words in Spanish.
Chingón,
Lands-
macho.
it's not, no, it's not
No,
very
no,
much.
just kidding.
Landscape with dead goat. Call it a dream. Call it a field where you get lost and no one goes out to find you. Before the night becomes too thick to breathe, there are things you want to remember. But instead, you taste manzanilla, estafiate, hierbabuena, herbs your grandmother sweetened with fire to make you strong. Remember when you could raise your kid above your head with one hand? Now you are a lame animal whose entrails God will use to see his unraveling. He knows you are where faith is all there is and you have no use for it. Everything else lost in light.
Wow, Octavio, you use beautiful imaginarios. I could smell the
Mm.
manzanilla and hierbabuena. Uh, how important is when a poem touch all our sense, right? In this case, smell,
Yeah,
imagination, the grammar, in my case.
yeah. I think it is very important, and I think those images, those words specifically are composed images that come from memory, and I think there's this notion, and might be true, I don't know, that often our memory is triggered with smell, right? So for this poem, I remember smelling yerbabuena, right? And it's yerbabuena
Mm-hmm.
um, was something that growing up was around me, so I remember that smell, and it triggered memories,
Uh-huh.
and somehow my grandmother appeared, and that's
Exactly,
why
grandma.
there's a reference here, of the grandmothers who you would, when you're a kid in Mexico or in the Valley or anywhere in South Texas, you're a kid, and if you can't afford to go to a doctor, what happens? Your grandmother makes you a tea to make you feel better.
Exactly, exactly. All the
You know,
traditional, the organic recipes, natural
exactly.
recipes.
Traditional organic medicine, and you felt better. You believe that. I don't know if it was. I mean, I don't know if I'm assuming the herbs did their work, but also you were at ease. So you believed it. You believed that drinking this was going to make you feel better. So it did. You know. Uh, and I remember, it's a testafiata that tastes really bad, right? I don't know.
I don't know that
You know,
that thing.
yeah,
No,
like when
estafiate, no.
I remember I used to hate it because whenever my stomach would hurt or I had a bellyache, I would get staffiate or something like a tea, and it was disgusting.
Uh,
Uh, so that in itself would make me
uh-huh.
say, "No, I don't need it. I feel better." I don't have to drink.
You are lying.
So your mom, your grandmother would be, "Oh, okay, okay, yeah, you feel better."
Okay, they gave me manteca. Did you try manteca? Maybe it's the same.
Nomás
It's
en la
a
tortilla.
liquid. No, it's a liquid, the hot
Yeah,
liquid. And when you drink the manteca, your tummy, they move your spine in the back, te levantan la piel en la
Oh,
espalda, and I don't know what happened with the tummy, but you feel better after that. But it's a really traditional or rural
the
recipe.
only thing I remember about manteca is that if you ever got like a burnt or something, like you got a burn, you could put manteca on top of it and it'll make it feel better.
Oh, wow,
You
wow.
know? Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and what else? I don't know. I mean, there were so many things, that had to do with our health and elders and our grandparents. Like my grandfather, um, uh, was really good at sobando el hueso, or like whenever you sprained a leg or whatever, he would
Ajá,
massage it to
ajá.
right. Uh, and it was painful, but at the end, he would do the
Yeah, it
job.
was better. Yeah.
Um, another thing that I experienced as a kid was that one time also we were out in the fields and this is probably gonna be kind of gross, but it's in the spirit of knowledge. I cut a finger, right?
Ajá.
And I was bleeding a lot. And my father said, go over to those trees and pee on it, and it will
Oh.
stop the blood.
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember if it did or not, but I remember peeing on my finger.
Oh my God. Do you know what is a very good remedio? How do you say remedio in English? To stop the bleeding? An onion. The onion has a really think capita. It's like a textile, but I don't know how to say. Es una capita. You put it there in where you got it, and the blood stops. It's incredible.
I also spider webs. No, doesn't that also stop bleeding or something?
Ah, no, I don't
You never
know.
heard of that?
No,
I don't know. Maybe
no.
our audience knows more than we do, but that's what I've seen people do. Like they're bleeding from somewhere, and they're like, "Get me that spider web." They put spider webs on their
And do
freaking.
you have a poem about it or not?
No, the only
You
one I
have
have
now a
that one.
topic. A new imaginarium.
Yeah, no, that's the only poem that has to do with, I guess, the body and health and healing remedies and
Uh-huh.
you know.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah,
Thank you
so,
for rescue our traditions and mix it with the English. I think it's a heritage because when you arrive here at this country, especially because you grew up here, sometimes um, you lose your roots.
yeah,
And in this case, you put it doesn't matter are three words, but are your imaginariums. It's your past, your people. And it's incredible because for Americans, it's a new word because we are
it
too
is
close, but we have very different lives,
exactly.
no? Different
Yeah,
experiences.
definitely, and it is important. Uh, and that poem is just 3 words, but it sparked a conversation of like 10 minutes right now because
Hmm.
a word can just lead us into conversations about identity and who we are. You know, so yeah, I think it's important.
Exactly. Octavio, it's incredible, but in time pass quickly.
It
And
did,
but
yeah.
I'm curious, what is in the bag? Are the front textos in boxes, or what is it? Or
This?
paintings? Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. This are. I'm working on new front textos on canvas,
Oh wow.
and I don't know if you can see, but I'm in process, and these are canvases that I'm gonna have and I'll tell the audience, I'm gonna have an exhibit, a solo exhibit at the Brownsville Museum of Fine Art on July. Let me give you the dates so people can write it down if they're interested.
Wow. What did you say? The ballet? Or
In
where?
the Rio Grande Valley,
Oh wow.
July July 14th, the opening of my exhibit at the Brownsville Museum of Fine Art will start on
Congratulations.
the 14th. So a lot of those paintings are going to be there. Paintings that I haven't shown. It's a new series that I'm calling Abstract Borderland.
Oh, wow.
So if you're out there in the Valley, anyone, and they're interested in seeing my new work, visual work, you can go check it out at the museum.
Oh, wonderful. I'm sorry because in general, the conversation was in English, but for people that stayed here in Spanish, you had manzanilla, hierbabuena, macho.
Estafiate,
No?
estafiate too.
Está, fíjate. Thank you so much, Octavio. It's a shame we couldn't talk about your front textos. I wanted to ask you, but just say in simple words, what is front textos? Front textos.
A frontexto is a visual poem, and it's a blending of the word itself, frontexto. The concept is a blending of two words, frontera and texto, border and text. And it's a project that I started in 2018. I'm already going for 3 years and a half of,
Mhm.
posting, uploading a visual poem to my social media. So you can check it out at my Facebook or my Instagram. Instagram at writer Octavio Quintanilla. And every day you're going to see a visual poem. And since 2018, January the 1st, 2018, I've been doing it. And they were on paper. And now, as you can see, I'm doing them on canvas, larger canvas. And I kind of like the idea of writing poetry that could be that can be on walls, and you can read it in an exhibit, and like you're gonna do in Brownsville if you go, for example. It's just another it's a reimagining of a book, right? instead of
Exactly.
instead of having the book here, you have to go to a space and read from a canvas, you know. So I like that type of play.
Oh, Octavio, it was a pleasure. It's a pleasure be with you, talk to you, hear your poems, and I'm so happy and excited for all your material. And I wish you the best in all your presentations, especially in this presentation that is coming soon. And thank you for being here with our people. And now,
Absolutely.
and I love that people in United Kingdom they know now Octavio Quintanilla.
Yeah. Thank you, Libertad. Thank you all for being here, and for all the people in the background, the technicians, everybody. Also, thank you. And till next time,
Sure.
talk about
Next
Frontex.
fair. Next fair. Thank you, Elizabeth Lama. Thank you, United Kingdom and all around the world. All our brothers and sisters. Thank you so much. And have a beautiful, beautiful morning, afternoon, or night. Thank you so much, or evening. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.